Mabuhay!
Hi! Welcome to
The Babaylan Bruha Book Club podcast.
It's Your Village Kapwatids, Steph.
And Aini, and here we are together again. And as always, in efforts to decolonize our minds, bodies, and reconnect with spirit by ways of relation via conversation, of education, interpretation, and integration.
So, this is our invitation for you to join us on our journeys as we discuss the works of honored artists, authors, and thought leaders in the Filipinx diaspora.
Quick disclaimer, we want to acknowledge that in this moment, everyone is exactly where they need to be.
And since we are not experts, yet we share our own unique lived experiences, we invite you to take or toss any statements, opinions, words that we may use as you choose.
We are so glad you found your way here. So as always, before we begin, we want to take a moment to ground, taking a pause to drop into our bodies and become fully present in this space. If it is safe for you, we invite you to close your eyes, straighten your spine, and direct your focus to your breath. Take a few deep inhales, extending your belly out, and exhales, bringing your belly in. One more time, inhale, and exhale, let it all out. One more time, in and out. Just invite you to bring all of yourself into this space and into this time. Check in with yourself. What do you need? Do you need to maybe even pause this podcast and just focus on your breathing for a while? Do you need to go drink some water to take care of yourself? Let's come fully into this moment. And as we begin our conversation, we'd like to thank God, Bathala Creator, for another gathering. In gratitude, we acknowledge our benevolent ancestors and invite all these forces to guide and protect this conversation today. We also thank the ancestors of the land Stephanie and I currently occupy, knowing we cannot do our own remembrance without remembering them. For me, that is the mound builders that are the Hopewell and Adena people in Ohio. For Stephanie, that is the Bay, Miwok, Yokut people in the Inland Bay Area of California. With gratitude, we also acknowledge your presence, Kapwatid, your energy and your light, no matter wherever and whenever you're tuning in.
All right. Thank you, sis. I always like the stop, pause, and breathe stuff.
Yes, we need it.
Yep. Shout out to those on all the podcast platforms. If you're listening and you still do the breath work,
you don't skip it.
You don't skip it there. And shout out to those who do it with us on YouTube. But shout out to everybody for just tuning in. So thank you for that, Sissy. As we transition now into Bruha check, this used to be our heart check, but we decided to flip it this season and we do like a 90-second Bruha check. So, and
all
that's
right.
to do with like rituals and things we've been doing that are Bruha Tings.
Bruha Tings.
All right. So I'll go first.
All right, Ati Steph. Okay, ready? Bruha Tings with Ati Steph. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. So I mean, I were talking earlier and something came up. I was like a quick little download and I was like, ooh. And I was sober as hell, by the way. No, I had water in my system, whatever, but we were reminiscing about how sis had came here in April, and it's damn near December. Tomorrow's December. And I was like, how was that 8 months ago? Like, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like timelines ago. And I was like, we should just stop saying months or years. Like I told her it felt like last year. That was like my first thing. It doesn't feel like it was this year. And yeah, for me, what came up was like, that feels like 3 timelines ago. So if y'all are Brujas and you've been timeline jumping,
Woo!
for those kind of coming in, it's like, we're creatrixes and we can build and collapse timelines. Every day is a new day to create. Every day you can choose, every moment you can choose something different. And because of that, time has for me felt like it slowed the fuck down. And I could do so much in like a matter of moments. So days feel like weeks and weeks feel like months and months feel like years. So if I say that with calculation, then it is technically 8 timelines ago since Sissy was here, but it feels like 3. So anywho, instead of saying years now or whatever time you want to quantify, because what is time?
What is time?
My thing is to say timelines ago. So
let's say timelines or like Earth seasons, like summer, spring. That's what the moon.
Yeah, she was here in spring. It's winter, but like
okay, still that feels so long ago.
That
feels so long.
2-3 seasons ago. Yeah, because you were here. It was California winter, spring. Because it was kind of cold, but it was warmish. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. At the Imes turn.
At the Imes turn, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so it is Sagittarius season. My favorite people in the world have Sag moons. That is Steph, my daughter, and also my favorite nephew. Don't tell my other nephews. They're all gonna be like, "Ooh, which one it is it?" Okay, but anyway, I just have been paying attention a lot more to the cosmos, to what's happening astrologically, and it's just so interesting, just the way that we are a piece of the cosmos and we are just so affected by the stars, right? So when I'm just going to talk a little bit like about how when I used to be a Christian, I used to think this was just like pseudoscience. This was like stupid, this was like silly, right? But just now understanding the depth of it, and just the multi layers of it, right? And so I don't know, I'm just really honoring like Sagittarius, like all the seasons that come up astrologically. I actually got together one of my other Bruja friends here, and we did it like a fire thing. We went to the woods and we lit a fire and we pulled some cards, and we kind of talked and shared some tea and shared some intention. So that was really like cool. So I think I want to do something like that for every like season that comes up. You know what I mean? Like when the different elements come up, So we got Sag and then Cap, and then Aquarius will be air. So something with that.
Love it. My fire moon is like so elated. I saw your post. I was like, go ahead, sis. Fire.
It was.
You don't like that fire.
Light the fire.
So many fire placements in my chart. It's crazy. But anywho, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's the season of fire in the winter. It's interesting. What is Capricorn?
We need to keep warm. We need to keep warm. Yeah, is Cap Earth? I think
maybe that's why we're eating all these starches.
Probably.
Girl, it took me like, I'm glad I'm moving because I was gonna text you like, I think I burned off my Thanksgiving calories, like move. Like, so it's like divinely timed. Like,
that's funny.
Anyway.
Wait, I'm looking up if Capricorn, what element it is.
I think it's Earth.
Oh, you're right, Earth. I mean, I knew that.
You did. Your higher self did. Your higher self did.
I mean, I knew that. Yeah. So
therefore you did. So
all right. Okay, Babaylan Brujas, check in with yourself. Renew those rituals, whatever makes you feel healthy and whole and connected. And let us know in the comments what helps you with your Bruha Tings.
Bruha Tings, yes.
Okay, so let's get into today's chapter. As always, we do a little Brown Girl Cliff Notes, and then we head into vocabulary words and also quotes. Okay, so if we recap our journey with Magellan so far, first there was the arrival, then the friendship, next came the conversion, and today we talk about the battle. So Sissy is always like, this sounds like a movie. So enter stage out. Yes, get your collie sticks out. So enter stage right, Cilapulapu, who we know today as simply Lapu Lapu. So Cilapulapu was a chief of Mactan, which was a nearby island to Cebu, where if you remember, that's where Magellan was, right? There were two chiefs of Mactan, Zula and Cilapulapu. So Zula sent his son to present 2 goats to Magellan as tribute. He told Magellan, hey, I want to send more, but the island has another chief, Cilapulapu, and he refuses to obey the king of Spain. And after so many tributes and conversions, it seems like the next thing Magellan wanted to do was kind of show off his military power. So Cilapulapu's challenge of refusing to obey the king of Spain seemed like the perfect opportunity, but only to Magellan. It seems that this was not well received by his crew, and even Pigafetta, remember he's the person who's recording all of this, Pigafetta begged Magellan not to go into battle with Cilapulapu. Then commences one of the most famous battles in Philippine history. Ati Judy, through Pigafetta's account, also recounted how the conversion we saw in the last chapter of our story may have begun to reveal itself. Magellan seems to continue his power trip as Pigafetta reported that they, quote unquote, burned a village which refused to obey the king or us. And Magellan was angered to find out that our ancestors still kept shrines along the seashore. So it just seems like this is like the tipping point, it seems like, where everything goes sideways. It goes sideways real quick.
Real quick. Real fucking quick. Not to quote Drake, but real fucking quick. 0 to 100. Yeah, it went like 0 to 100. I was like, oh, okay, we're fighting. Okay.
Yeah. So did you have anything to add, Sissy, or comments before we?
Nah, we could dive in. You know, I'm gonna talk anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna talk anyway. So that's the Brown Girl Cliff Notes. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into vocabulary words. There wasn't many words that were kind of like new. So I did want to point out on page 129 that, so this is when they were about to go into battle, and the islanders told, I think it was Magellan, that they had, quote unquote, lances of bamboo hardened in fire. And I said, what is that? What do you think lances? I mean, if they could be lances with like points on it, but yes, I was like, those are collie sticks, friends.
Yep.
Sige. Lances of bamboo hardened in fire. I want to know what the word for collie sticks were.
Right?
You know, that's what I want to know.
Manifest it. We'll find the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Episode 60. I'll be like, oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, that's just something, words that piqued my interest. So there you go. Lances of bamboo hardened in fire. And that's actually, like, if you look at the collie sticks, that's how they get the stripes on there. They actually fire I can't words today. They burn it in there with fire. So that's cool.
If y'all are listening, come onto YouTube and subscribe. We're gonna start saying that now.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, because look at this. This is our sis actually she put the gemstones in them. Shout out to Tony Passion.
Uni Pasión.
She made this and put the, I don't know if she burned, I don't think so, but she did put the gemstones
I
in it.
know. I think that's so cool. You know who has mine still? Drea. Drea still has my sticks.
Oh shit. You gotta go to Texas to get that.
I know. Gotta go to Austin. She'll be like, come down and get them. Be
We
like,
could go to
okay.
Austin. Um,
So
all right. Thank you for
okay.
that, Sissy. You feel complete?
I do. Thank you.
Okay. That was quick. Mine is probably gonna be a little longer just because the treat of the chapter is to talk about the Battle of Mactan. And I can't wait till this is like normalized, Battle of Mactan, because they talk about like the battle of the bar, whatever, battle of whatever the fuck shore and So Battle of Mactan is a big one, y'all. If you didn't hear about it, but I guess I'm just gonna make it that for this podcast series. And that's literally what the entire chapter is about. But as Sissy very much described in the beginning, it went from friendship to conversion to battle. And so it's like, what happened that day of? And I just want to, open up the floor for Sis and I to like go through the next few pages, how like it was tension, like Midnight, Magellan and his men were like trying to go into the island. And then Pigafetta said, don't fight at this hour. I'm starting on page 128, y'all, if you're following along. And then Magellan like sending messages, like talking shit, like if you agree to obey Spain, we will be friends. If not, then our lances will pierce y'all, basically. And then, as Sis said, they responded, they have lances too. And then for some reason, it's interesting as we read with, after Judy notes this, Bergreen, according to Bergreen, another historian who she references, Magellan, Lapu Lapu actually asked Magellan to postpone his attack to the morning so that they can get more men. So it's like kind of weird, like, Magellan, if you're trying to fight, like, why did you pardon them? I don't know. It's like, maybe he got pleasure in like giving them time. But the delaying tactic allowed islanders to dig trenches around their homes so that the invaders who went searching for them would fall into the pits. I thought that was interesting. And it was published, I think, later in an article, Magellan's Voyage, published in 2006. That's 2006, y'all, like 1521, 2006. This shit was finally recorded. Richard J. Field said that Magellan had wanted to attack immediately, but Raja Humaban advised against it because he knew Lapu Lapu's warriors had been digging trenches and they were sharpening their kali sticks. So it was kind of weird details. I think you want to say something, Sis.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, they sharpened their kali sticks, and it says if the Europeans attacked at night, they would have fallen in the trenches and like they would not have seen the trenches and fallen in on like the sharpened stick. So it seems like Raja Humaban, right, was kind of on the side of Magellan, because Magellan wanted to attack right away, but Raja Humaban said no, because he knew what Cilapulapu was doing, and he didn't want Magellan.
What a freaking hater!
It be your own people.
I know. Set up your own people. Advise the enemy. And so Bergreen said Magellan lost precious time. The Islanders had home advantage, shallow waters. I'm just kind of trying to paint a picture for y'all with the trenches, and it's midnight, and they waited till the morning to fight, and then they actually went to the shore. But Magellan had a problem because the shallow waters meant Magellan and his men had to wade into further before reaching the big ships. Before reaching, while the big ships were far back in deeper water, so their artillery access was harder. And then there's only 49 of Magellan and his crew, allegedly.
I know, that's crazy.
And it said that there were how many Filipinos that came in? 3 divisions of more than 1,500 warriors,
1,500 warriors.
according to Pigafetta. So it's 30-1. I counted the ratio. I think I wrote it in the corner here. And then Magellan had boasted that just one of his armored men was worth 100 island warriors. But as the fights, the loud voices, cries, islanders, they used yelling as a tactic too to scare them, which was interesting. So that means, y'all, we have warrior spirit and we have warrior voices.
Yes, use your voice.
Magellan divided his 49 men into 2 divisions, and then they started fighting. So the islanders shouted louder. Where is Pigafetta? I want to know. Like, is he in the boat? Like,
yeah, like how did he know all this? Was he like, you guys go ahead, I'm gonna be up in this palm tree taking notes?
Yeah, this is my job. I'm gonna stay behind and live.
I gotta stay alive to record this.
So Pigafetta said the islanders shouted louder, and then I don't know what this means. Hackbutt men and crossbowmen. Okay, types of hackbutt men. I mean, they like hacky, whatever. Men fighting men. Okay. What else? And then gunfire came into play. From the sounds of gunfire, I don't know what it says here. I'm 132 now, y'all. The constant peaceful firing of artillery had desensitized them from the sounds of gunfire, so now they were no longer afraid. It seemed like the Europeans underestimated the fighting abilities of the locals. So the Mactan warriors fired many arrows, lances of bamboo tipped with iron, and pointed stakes hardened by fire and stones, as you said, sis, with their stuff. So 30 houses were burned. That's interesting how they can quantify. 2 Europeans were killed. They actually sent poisoned arrows, and they actually targeted I wanted to share this as we give you the visual. European armor protects the body, front and back, but the legs are exposed. So the Mactan warriors exploited this weakness. And that's how they basically got Magellan to fall, according to the next few pages. So Magellan ordered his men to withdraw slowly as he was injured on his right leg. And then Magellan actually stayed. So he's telling people his men to retreat, but he stayed. And I think Bergreen, or was it Pigafetta, said that Magellan refused to retreat because he wanted to show I don't know if this is like it's a weird way of being a hero, right? Like Magellan turned his back several times to see whether his men had made it back to their ships. And then Magellan got hit in the face, and then he drew his sword, and then one of the warriors, I don't know why they didn't say it was Lapu Lapu, but one of the warriors wounded Magellan in his leg and then caused him to fall face down. So I'm like, where's Lapu Lapu in this?
Yeah, well, that's what I was wondering. And then I was thinking, maybe it was Lapu Lapu, maybe it was another warrior who actually took Magellan down. However, it was because of Lapu Lapu and his taking a stand, right, against not wanting to bow down to the King of Spain.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they had just been hammering at him for a minute and hit his leg, hit his face. I'm not laughing because that's still a human being. It's not great to do that. But when he fell on his face, he died. And Raja Hamaban sent a message to Lapu Lapu on behalf of Magellan's men. They wanted his body, and Lapu Lapu said no.
Oh, snap.
He said, quote, they would not give him up for the greatest riches in the world, but that they would intended to keep him as a perpetual memorial. So Pigafetta memorialized Magellan in his account, and the fame of so noble a captain will not become extinguished in our times. So the conflict comes, and which we'll discuss in just a bit, but anyways, Magellan, yeah, he died on the shore, and got accolades for it. And there's a circumnavigation titles. He still got that. But honestly, Filipinos made him famous. So that's what made, as they say in the last sentence here. But for the people of the Philippines over the following centuries, it was that wooden cross that symbolized Magellan's more impactful legacy. And I wrote Roger Humabon as a wench. I wrote that in my book.
Oh my gosh.
But yep, that's what happened, y'all.
So that's crazy. Yeah. I enjoyed reading all the details though of the battle and the ways that, Magellan underestimated the Filipino warriors, which is something I'll talk about for my quotes and stuff. So
yeah.
But thank you for that recap, sis.
Yeah, I figured it'd be calling a cartoon artist out there. You want to do a little window, a little visual, right between me and Amy or something. Anyways, I'm manifesting that.
There you go.
But I'm done. I'm complete.
Okay. Thank you, sis. Okay. Thanks for that recap, Sissy. Let's go into quotes and we'll talk more about the whole thing. Okay. So page 131 is where my quote comes from. And 130 and 131. So Ati Judy says, I don't remember reading about the details of the Battle of Mactan in our Philippine history textbooks. I don't remember reading the details either, but I didn't go to school in Philippines. But this is the first time I've ever read all the details. So I have to admit, this is what Ati Judy says, like Magellan, I had also imagined the Filipino warriors were a disorganized ragtag group, and Magellan just happened to be unlucky. Perhaps I had been conditioned to think that quote unquote military strategy was not something that could be associated with pre-colonial Philippines. But revisiting these stories from 1521, I now see it was more complex than it seemed. The Filipinos were prepared to fight and organized for battle. Like back on page 130, Bergreen had noted that Magellan might have expected, quote, a ragged band of nearly naked warriors who would flee the moment he fired his artillery and whose flimsy bamboo spears would be useless against impenetrable Spanish armor. So that because he underestimated them, that was his downfall, because he underestimated them. He didn't take them seriously. He's like, yeah, I'll give you more time. Right. And then I thought it was funny because remember, he would shoot his artillery every time, the ship's artillery, like scaring everybody when he came into port and left port. Right. He would shoot the artillery. But because of that, now it didn't scare our ancestors when they were in this battle, because like you said, like you quoted, to see, like they kind of, it was like just repetition. It was just like white noise in the background. So I don't know. And it's interesting because I didn't imagine that our Filipino ancestors were disorganized or anything like that. However, it's interesting to me that Ati Judy, and no, there's no shade to Ati Judy, because there's probably a lot of us who have thought the same thing, but the fact that she also thought that it was just luck that Magellan died, right? It was just luck. There was no strategy, like, at all. So it just, again, is one of those things that we get to challenge, like when we think of great military leaders, we usually think European people, or the way they're portrayed on screen or whatnot. So I just thought that was interesting that even our own people, and there have been times like that I've thought things similar to this, like, that before, when I was in a colonized mindset, it was like, well, we're better because we're colonized, because we're more sophisticated, or we know things better. But really, that's not the case. I mean, they were super smart. They were like, your legs are exposed, so we're just going to go for your legs. What is this armor? And honestly, the armor slowed them down. All that armor in water, think about it.
That's what I was just gonna say. I didn't want to. I mean, yeah, like I don't know if it was because I watched. This is so corny, but I'm gonna say like Pocahontas. Like that was like the first like movie growing up that I saw like colonizer or white skin, pale skin people fighting brown people who look like my ancestors, and they were able to fend off them. So I never really thought of natives to be weak. Um, and yeah, armor is heavy. I think that that's where it's just like the interesting of like the way that humans evolve, how our brains think. So the Europeans were like, okay, cover your body, but you also have a ton of metal on you. And whereas natives, you're more exposed, but you can move faster. And then shit, like what are they gonna do all day? There's people who are just training to be protectors of the island. So they're gonna develop a bunch of moves to do and to fight. So, and I think it's honestly embedded in a lot of Asian cultures because if you think about it, like physiologically, male Asian figures, the way that our body is built, their body is built, like they're able to do all those flips and jumps and
Yeah,
kicks, things
yeah.
like that. So, it'd probably be lethal if they put them in a suit. But now we have the technology to make just as powerful, or like, you know, this could be as powerful as like an armor if the right like polymer science person like really designed it. I mean,
Oh,
think
yeah.
about like, I don't know, I've been watching movies, Dune, you know,
Oh,
Black
yeah.
Panther, like there's scientists out there that know how to configure elements to make them like, if I just cut you, if I hit you, like it can penetrate back or something, you know? So, yeah, but I just share that to say, you know, and then hearing that our moves were hidden in our dances and like, you know,
Yeah, we
I
were
think
warriors. We are warriors.
we are war. Yeah, exactly. We have very methodic and strategic ways of fighting,
Yeah.
combating, whether it be verbally or physically. But obviously, back then it was physically. And also, like, it's not uncommon for tribes to fight. So, Humaban and Lapu Lapu, like, it was, they probably were rivals in some capacity. They probably got into some fights. And I
Mhm.
mean, it's just man culture.
I want to know. I don't know if we're gonna go into it, but I want to know what happens to Humaban after after all
I
this.
know, right? Stay tuned.
So
Um,
anyway, that is me. That's my quote. We're
okay.
warriors. I'm proud, and I'm complete.
Yay. I know we only have a limited time today, so I'll be quick with mine. Um, I just want to discuss a little bit more about the quote I just read about Magellan and his body, and how um, Lapu Lapu and his warriors, they got him, and they said that they would not return the body because they intended to keep him as a perpetual memorial. And I think that that's like subjective. I don't know the context of, you know, how they meant it or the feeling behind it, like, but it can be interpreted subjectively is what I'm trying to say, because if you're, whether or not you really like the man, like you're holding onto his body as a way to like remind you, either one, like it's a trophy quote that you accomplished or one battle, but also it's still giving him tribute to being alive or a
Yeah.
person. So it was just interesting that Lapu Lapu, and he said they wouldn't give him for the greatest riches in the world, but they intend to keep him as perpetual memorial. So it's like a catch 22. Like they're, you know, holding on to this man who did actually impact and change Philippine culture in many ways. And also like as a way of like saying, we took him down, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was very much both. And if I were Cilapulapu, I would probably have a little bit of um like satisfaction to be like, no, we're gonna keep him. And if you remember from when we read in the Babaylan book about uh beheading in the Philippines, that was actually,
Um,
yeah, that was actually not something that was super violent or super disrespectful. They brought it back to the village to give it to basically pay homage to um their enemies, and to respect them as people and ask them to protect the village and to be friends in the afterlife. So maybe that's what happened, but also, even if that is what is happened, that's why they kept the body. I'm sure he had a lot of satisfaction. Be like, no, we're keeping.
yeah.
You can't have him back.
Even if it was a headhunter ass like thing, I think the
Mhm.
headhunters did it to show they're men, right? Because it was like a way of symbolizing you're a man. But
Yeah,
um, think to keep his body, yeah. I mean, I could see it as like a haha, but you know, Beyonce said it. You know, you're that bitch if you cause all the conversation. Like, regardless, Magellan wanted to be a legacy, and they
yeah.
killed him, but he's like, all right, but my body's still gonna be here and y'all gonna be talking about me. So,
And
you know,
it could just all be so different, Magellan. It could have been different.
you know.
And also, where's his body now? That's what I want to know. Like, what they do?
I know. It's definitely been
It's
Mama
gone.
Earth already ate it. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
she did. She was like, give me that.
Give me that back. And he probably reincarnated somewhere. I don't know. But
Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, that's Magellan. There's still more in the chapter, so or in the book. But I just thought, did you think his end was a little anticlimactic, sis, though? I
a
felt
little
like
bit,
he
because I was
came
like,
in like amazing and he's like making friends and doing all these things, and then it just went "Wah." And then he dies because his helmet comes off and he
I
doesn't.
got that part. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
and
just kind of dismantled him, y'all. They took off his armor and was just
yeah,
pounding at it. Because there's again 1500 to 49. Like,
yeah.
and there's still more chapters. We have there's a betrayal chapter, y'all, chapter 10. So
All
stick
right.
with it. I think we go up to chapter freaking, I don't even know, 17.
Yeah, I think 17.
So there's more.
All right, sis. Are you complete?
I am. Are you?
Yes.
So, as we end our conversation and close out this container with gratitude, we recognize and honor all our ancestors and the ancestors of the lands we occupy. We also recognize and honor you too, dear Kapwatid, for joining our conversation today. And as always, your Ates leave you with a blessing. As you continue this journey of remembrance, may you remember that you are courageous, especially for exploring and committing to this inner decolonizing work. May you always remember that you are worthy. Even on your darkest nights and days, it is okay to be there, but don't stay there. May you always come back into your light and remember who you truly are. May the remembrance of Kapwa in this Kapwa prayer anchor you into your heart. And until we meet again, may you know that no matter what happens, all is well and will be well. And you are loved.